Hi, my name is Abdirahman Ali. Our project of discussion today is automation of big data cluster deployment using Terraform. My colleagues Kashish, Shah, and Jayesh are in a group with me. Our project includes the purpose is automate big data cluster deployment using Terraform. Our client is Professor Pedram Habibi, and our objectives are to automate goals, consistency, error reduction, and scalability. This will be discussed further in the presentation. And now I hand over to my colleague, Jayesh, who will be discussing the SharePoint site. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Today, I am going to introduce you to our Terraform project dashboard, an essential tool designed to streamline our project management and enhance our productivity. Now, I'll share the screen and take you guys to the SharePoint desktop. The Terraform project dashboard is a comprehensive and interactive platform that centralizes all the critical project information in one place. It serves as a command center for our team, providing real-time insights and easy access to key data point, task, and timeline. Now, moving on to the features of the dashboard, we first will look at the action items. This section has all accountable tasks assigned to the team members. It ensures everyone is on the same page regarding what we need to be done. These are all the tasks which are assigned to the team members, and it also shows the status of the task as well as the completion, whether it's in progress or it has been completed. Moving on to the high level task. Here you can Here you can see the major project milestones and overachieving tasks. These features help us to track progress on significant projects and ensures alignment with our project timeline. These two charts, re, these two charts. First chart shows the client. Uh, First chart shows the things regarding to the clients, and the second chart shows the things which are regarding with the team members that are in progress. These are all the tasks assigned from the beginning of the project. Moving on to the timesheet. The timesheet function allows team members to log their hours and track their time spent on the various tasks. This is a crucial for maintaining accountability and accessing projects efficiency. Moving on to minutes of meeting, all the minutes from our meeting are fully documented and stored here, but helps us to keep track on actions and minute meetings ensure nothing slips through the crack. These are the meetings from the beginning of the project and till the time we are in. Moving on to the document section. This section has all the documents, project related documents from the proposal to repost. Everything is stored here and is easily accessible to the team members. Now, Kashish will take from here.
Thank you, Jayesh. As introduced before, our project that aimed at as a data engineering objective. This is an overview which aims to automate. Now that our project it aims to automate the deployment of big data tools including Hadoop, MongoDB, Kafka, and Spark, using the Terraform. Now, we established that the objective is to establish a robust and scalable infrastructure without necessitating the installation of these tools on a system. Our project goals was, as a requirement from the client, was to automate using Hadoop, MongoDB, and we first started with the Hadoop and established the environment and ran the codes and establish the infrastructure for the Hadoop. These are the phases we used, we went through, and we reached the 8th phase. So our phases were understanding the Terraform requirement gathering, cloud providing, configuration, credential management, infrastructure and design and planning, implementation of core infrastructure components, automated deployment of the big data tools, configuration and management of the CI, CD integration, monitoring and logging in implementation. Finally, we reached to the project's infrastructure design phase, which was strategically executed to ensure the scalability, reliability, and performance in alignment with the organizational goals. We use the AWS to implement the core infrastructure components, including the EC2 resources, instances, the virtual machines, the VPC, and the storage, which is the S3 buckets. Now, to be done with the project with the client requirements, we move next to analytics aspect, which was also a requirement for our course and project final. We sought to select a data set from this site, Kaggle. The data set we selected includes the score from 3 test scores of students in a public school. This, mind you, is a fictional, and it includes the original fictional data set for education that is generated. It includes more than 32,000 rows, which we'll later explain. These are some of the columns from the data dictionary. Some very important questions that we need to ask ourselves and that will help us to come to a conclusion with this data mine. How does the gender affect student performance? Is there a relationship between the parental education and the student performance? Other questions that also come along are, how does the number of hours studied per week correlate to the student performance? So these questions, among others, were used to come up with a solution to do some analytical aspect on this data. We loaded the data onto our Jupyter notebook, and my colleague Kashish will take over now to explain the technical aspects of this data analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali, for giving me the opportunity to explain it further. So as Ali mentioned that we are using the dataset that is taken from Kaggle, which is students exam score extended dataset. And as he mentioned that the dataset is about 32,000 rows, but we will be only dealing with 5,000. And we will be answering the questions using analytics, using the charts, using the codes. So initially the dataset only had 9 columns in it, which were gender, ethnic group, parental education, lunch type. It was then the other columns were added. So without wasting any time, let's move to the coding part, and I'll explain you further what we did into exploratory data analysis. So starting with importing all the necessary libraries that we were required to perform each task. So loading the data set into the data frame, that is org_student, which is originally 32,000 rows, which is stored in data frame, a variable called df. Then we are just displaying the first 5 rows of the data set. Like, in order to understand about the data set, we will use some statistical we'll get some statistical information about it. So using df.info, we get about what are the data types of those columns. Then we describe the summary statistics for the numerical columns. Here we get mean, standard deviation, mean, first quartile, max value of in each of the columns. Moving forward, in the data set, in the original data set, the first column is just has the numerical values just as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the first column doesn't make any sense, and it's not useful enough for the data analysis that we will be using. So we are dropping the first column here and then displaying the data set again, so which has 30,000 rows and 8 columns. So as I mentioned before, we'll be dropping the first column. So after dropping the first column, we checked for the missing values, that we found none. So the new data set we stored in the data frame called variable called df1, in which we'll be only using first 5,000 of the data set, which is this one. Now, in order to answer the questions that Ali mentioned, we have to add some more numerical columns to the dataset, because this dataset has only 3 rows that are numerical. That is not enough for the analytical purpose. So we are adding, here you can see that we are adding total score column, that is the sum of math score, reading score, and writing scores. We are adding an average score, which is the sum of these 3 scores, but divided by the number of scores, that is 3. We added the consistency score, that how a student is performing. That's the one minus of that will be the value will be ranging between 0 and 1. Then we'll be again displaying the columns of displaying the data set after adding all those columns. So here you can see using df1, then we are again adding some few more columns, that is the number of hours a student is studying per week, that is ranging between 0 to 20. Again, one more column has been added, like educated parent. So does that affect anyways in the student academics? Then we are adding the last column, that is it took extra learnings from tutors column. So if did any student took extra classes from apart from going to school, and did it help in any way? So checking again for the null values, we found none null values. So ending the exploration here, we will moving towards each and every column and its visualization. So distribution of math score has been, you can see here how the math score are distributed. For example, you can see the frequencies, the number of students, for example 500. So let's say if the math score, you can see here by the histogram, mostly the students have scored 70 out of 100. Similarly for reading score and for writing score, all the columns are displayed using the charts, so that you can get more understanding of the data. So as I mentioned, 5,000, there are 5,000 students. So those belongs from 5 ethnic groups, and these are the numbers. For example, from group B, there are about 1,000 students. And moving forward, the parents education maybe could be one of the following: bachelor's degree, master's degree, association degree, and more. Moving to these are all similar things. Moving to the analytical part now, let's answer those questions. How does the gender affect student performance? So looking at the graph, we can see that gender does not affect the student performance, but according to the data that we have taken, and we have generated some random data, so we can see that overall male have scored more than female in overall purpose. As you can see, the box plot have from 60 to 80. So coming to the second question, is the relation between parental education and student performance? So yes, we can see that the students from the parents who were master degree holders scored relatively higher than any other. Coming to the third question, how does the lunch type correlates with the student performance? So in realistic, this does not make any sense, but since our data set was unrealistic, it is showing some results over here that students that had standard lunch type scored a relatively more than free or reduced one. So yes, food also impacted in the academics. So does this test preparation impact student performance? If the student had done some prior practice for the test, yes, it scored overall good in the end. What is the impact of transportation mode? So we see there is no impact on the transportation mode on the academic score if a student comes by walking to the school, or take school bus or private vehicle. How much does the number of hours studied per week correlate to the students? So yes, this does not make this two things are not much correlated, as we mentioned, as we found it by correlation coefficient. The number is 0.01. So it doesn't matter if a student studied for 0 hours or studied for 20 hours, the students are still scoring the same. So the students we see here, the students are extraordinary, irrespective of studying after coming home. Coming to the second question, does having an educated parent impact the student performance? So this question is asking, if the parent is educated, does that means that the student will be scoring more? So relatively here you can see yes, it is somewhere true, because the educated parent had some good score performance, but there are a few exceptions in the false one, because if the parents are not much educated, we can see in the data set that the student scored 0. Does extra learning from the tutors affect students? So yes, in this data set we can see that if a student has taken some extra classes, they are relatively scoring good, rather than the student that did not take one, because you can see no students are scoring 0 if they are taken extra classes. Moving forward, for the next analysis, we will be dealing with machine learning to get more insights into it. We'll be separating the data set into a test data and trainings data, and we'll be applying some regressions and answering more questions to it. So this was all about our presentation. Thank you for giving us the time to speak on this topic, and thank you for listening. Thank you.